evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. This evening, we're going to be talking about 3 shocking incidents of dog attacks that have been reported. And these aren't stray dog incidents. These are pet dogs who've attacked neighbors, who attacked people in societies, in localities. It's brought up this massive debate within resident welfare associations asking whether we need to now crack the whip and start putting regulations in place to ensure pet dogs don't interact with other people. Is that the answer? What's leading to the sudden spurt in incidents of dog attacks? We're going to be discussing that and much more. Here are all the headlines first. Man who ordered beautification of Yaqub Memon's grave pictured with Maha Aghadi Netas, NCP's Nawab Malik and Congress's Alam Sheikh seen with the Qabristan trustee. Bangalore University students protest against construction of a temple inside the campus, urge authorities to build a library instead. After a 2-year-long standoff, big breakthrough at the line of actual control. India-China disengagement at Gogra Hot Springs begins. National Green Tribunal orders demolition of Goa shack, Curly's, for violating coastal zone norms. Sonali Fogart partied in the shack before her death. Supreme Court grants bail to Kerala journalist Siddiq Kappan after 2 years on conditions that he can't leave Delhi for 6 months. Queen Elizabeth II passes away at 96, crowned in 1953. Longest reigning monarch dies after a reign of 69 years. Son Charles to be crowned the next king. Our top focus this evening on 6 p.m. Prime. There have been 3 shocking incidents that stunned the entire country of dog attacks. All of these to do with pet dogs targeting neighbors, little kids in societies. The latest incident is of a pitbull who attacked a 10-year-old boy in Ghaziabad, leaving him with 150 stitches on his face. Let's get you all the details of exactly what happened in this latest incident.
A 10-year-old boy mauled by a pit bull outside his home. A Zomato delivery boy bitten in the groin while stepping out of the lift. A boy bitten inside a lift by a beagle in Ghaziabad. These 3 incidents are only the latest in a slew of dog attacks, and that too pet dogs in societies. Let's tell you what played out in Ghaziabad first, where a 10-year-old boy has now got 150 stitches on his face after a pit bull attack. The dog on a leash suddenly charges for the little boy while he was playing, and after repeated attempts, he finally manages to get away. He's now got 150 stitches on his face after the attack. The boy is now in hospital, and remember, this incident comes months after a pit bull mauled his owner to death in Lucknow. An eyewitness to the incident who also came to the boy's rescue says it was a 14-year-old girl who had taken the pit bull for a walk and struggled to control her dog.
जैसे ही मैं वहां पे पहुंचा, मैंने जाके हल्ला हुल्ला करा और जिस तरीके से भी उस वक्त मुझे ऑन द स्पॉट याद नहीं मैंने कैसे क्या किया, मगर मेरी पूरी कोशिश ये रही बस कि किसी भी तरीके से ये बच्चा यहाँ से निकल जाए.
If it wasn't for her neighbor, the condition of this boy would have been much worse. As you can see in the footage, the pit bull refused to let the 10-year-old get away.
कि मेडिसिन वगैरह सब चालू गए लड़के की जो भी जिस समय पोजीशन पहुंच सकता था. 150 टांके के आसपास उसके लड़के चेहरे पे हैं और एक कान की लो होती है वो कट गई है. तो सब सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, पर मैं सबको यही कह रहा हूँ कि गली मोहल्ले में ये पहुंच जाए न्यूज की ऐसा कुत्ता अगर आसपास हो तो उसको स्टिक हटा दें बिल्कुल वहां से. जो आज मेरे बच्चे के साथ हुआ किसी के साथ ना हो.
The dog owners have now been fined over the incident. The 14-year-old girl's father has claimed his dog has never attacked anyone before, and this came out of the blue.
वहाँ पर पार्क में सब खेल रहे थे. अब खेलते हुए क्या हुआ कि वो लड़का भी कभी कभार उस कुत्ते के आसपास आकर खेल लेता था, फ्रेंडली था उसके साथ भी. अब वो बॉल खेलते खेलते उस छोटी बच्ची के हाथ से वो कुत्ता छूट गया, क्योंकि नहीं वो संभाल पाई उसे। उसने बोला कि मैं संभाल लूंगा, जैसा मुझे उस छोटी बच्ची ने बताया कि मैं देख लूंगा। वो उसके पास गया और पास जाने के चक्कर उसके हाथ में बॉल थी, तो उसी के चक्कर में शायद उसने उसे काट लिया।
And then there's this incident of a Zomato delivery boy in Panvel. As he steps out of the lift to head to an apartment, a dog attacks him and bites him in the groin. 3 incidents have opened up a massive debate on the handling of dogs by apartment dwellers. And it's now leading to a slew of bizarre diktats by RWAs against pet dogs and their owners. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's open this up. What do you do in such circumstances with multiple incidents of not just pit bull attacks but pet dog attacks being reported across the country? Mr. N.P. Singh, who is the Noida RWA chief, is joining us on this broadcast. We've got animal rights activist Ambika Shukla also with us. And finally, Sanjay Tyagi, who is the victim's father, the little boy who was bitten and had 150 stitches to his face. His father is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Sanjay Tyagi, I'd like to begin with you. We hope your son is doing okay. आपके बेटे को 150 stitches मिला है उनके मुंह पर. क्या हुआ exactly आपके बेटे के साथ? Sachin ji, can you hear me?
यस मैडम, मेरा बेटा 6 साढ़े 6 बजे पार्क में गया था। हेलो,
बताइए बताइए।
मैडम आवाज है? तो वो पार्क में गया था खेलने, नॉर्मली जाते हैं बच्चे पार्क। कुछ कुमार थी जो मेरे ख्याल से 15-16 महीने का था। 15-16 महीने के पिटबुल ने वो बच्ची उसे रोक तो सकती नहीं थी। आप जानते हो पिटबुल कितना एग्रेसिव डॉग होता है। उसने तुरंत बच्चे पे अटैक कर दिया। अटैक भी 2 बार करा। एक बार जब अटैक करा उसने राइट साइड कान के नीचे की लो होती है वो काट ली। दूसरी बार कान पे मतलब पूरा गाल खत्म कर दिया, जिसमें कि हम उसे फिर अस्पताल लेके गए। उसमें 150 टांके करीब आए हैं।
आपके शायद जो पिटबुल वहाँ पे है और जो ओनर्स है वो शायद आपके नेबर्स है सचिन जी?
यस।
तो क्या इसके पहले भी ऐसा कुछ इंसिडेंट हुआ है?
वो नहीं, उस पिटबुल से वहाँ पे तो कोई हमारे नॉलेज में उस पिटबुल ने कभी कुछ डॉगी ने कुछ नहीं करा। हमारी नॉलेज में उस डॉगी ने जिस डॉगी ने हमारे बच्चे को करा है, बट वो जो भी है मतलब बच्ची इस लायक नहीं थी जो पिटबुल को थाम सकती है। इतना
लेकिन क्या
एग्रेसिव।
अभी इस इंसिडेंट के बाद सचिन जी क्या आपको डर लगता है आपके बेटे के लिए और जितने भी बेटे हैं पास में, जितने भी बच्चे हैं पास में?
मैडम मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ आपसे, डर, मेरा बच्चा सोता नहीं है ढंग से, हम लोग नहीं सो पाते। मैं तो इस हद तक जाने के तैयार हूँ कि भाई चलो ठीक है, जिसका डॉग है उसके मेरी कोई जास्ती दुश्मनी तो है नहीं, पर डॉग इतना खतरनाक ऐसी सोसाइटी में रखना और पार्क में घुमाना किसी बच्चे के लिए कितना खतरनाक हो सकता है ये मैं जानता हूँ। मैं तो ये चाहता हूँ प्रशासन इसको बैन करे, इस ब्रीड को बैन करे बिल्कुल ही। आज मेरा बच्चा है, कल किसी और का बच्चा भी हो सकता है।
Very, very valid point. Sachin ji, thank you very much for joining us. We're all, of course, praying for your son's recovery at the earliest. I want to open this up. Ambika Shukla is also with us. Ma'am, you heard what, Sanjay Tyagi said, the victim's father there. He's saying, how can you allow such an aggressive dog breed to be, given out to people, to be allowed to be sold or adopted by people without any regulation? And that's perhaps the root cause here for so many incidents of dog attacks also being reported.
While we are all extremely concerned for this particular incident, there is also a mistake in generalizing. Accidents happen, yes, but it should be confined to that incident itself and solutions should be found to that specific incident. We have car crashes, we have plane crashes. You do not say ban all planes, you do not say lock up all cars. So we have to see things in perspective always and examine an incident individually. In this case, there is no such thing as an aggressive breed. There may be dogs who are mistreated and react because of the way they have been brought up and because of the cruelty they themselves have faced. Many dogs are kept chained up the whole day, they are not fed, they are beaten viciously, and that has an effect on them. Pit bulls are not an aggressive breed. There is no such thing as an aggressive breed. There are dogs who may be difficult, and there are pit bulls who sit in your lap, and there are Pomeranians who will snap at you. So there is no such thing. It's only environment. It's only how a dog is brought up and how he is treated. And kindness is actually the best policy in bringing out friendliness in dogs. It is not in punishing them. It is not in treating them with viciousness. You can only be kind to a dog, and a dog responds with love, gentleness, and trust. It's when a dog is fearful that a dog will react. If a dog,
the reason, ma'am, that
if a dog is threatened, if a dog is
I'll just quickly ask my question, which is that I think there's a bit of a delay, so I'll just go ahead and ask my question, ma'am. You know, we don't mean to generalize in any way with regards to the breed, but the reason there's been a lot of concern about the pit bull itself is this isn't the first incident. I'm sure you remember what happened a couple of months ago in Lucknow when a pit bull reportedly mauled, you know, his owner to death. This was an elderly woman, and there are many countries across the world where the pit bull is banned, or there are some regulations at least in place. None of that is there in India.
There is a lot of misunderstanding surrounding that incident and the breed generally. The incident in Lucknow, if you remember, nobody was present and nobody saw what happened. There was some talk of the neighbors throwing stones, you know, in some kind of attempt to perhaps intervene or something. But there is always a chance that those stones hurt the lady. She was taken to hospital. She was alive when she was taken to hospital. There was a delay in her treatment, and she actually died from loss of blood. So we don't know what happened there, and we really should not conjecture as to what happened, what triggered the behavior. The owner has brought the dog back to him, and he cuddles the dog. He puts him on his lap. There is footage of the lady feeding the dog with her own hands. So, you know, what happened, what circumstances happened in a particular incident. Again, like I said, it's wrong to generalize. We cannot take one incident and then, you know, apply it across the board. Pit bulls, like I said, are pet dogs, lap dogs. This particular dog has never had a history of biting, the one that you are featuring today. There are things that trigger them, and that's what we need to understand. You know, perhaps if there was more understanding around dogs rather than fear created and hype created, and I must confess, I'm sorry to say it on your program, but the media is a great culprit in creating this kind of fear by using the kind of sensationalist language that you do. Things, you know, in the olden days there was an adage, that was in a newsroom adage in fact. It used to say, dog bites man, not news. Man bites dog, that's news. But now it has become, you know, there seems to be an orchestrated campaign to focus on every incident and blow it up so much that there is this panic, there is this fear, and there is this hate, and there is this hostility. And I would like to, you know, point out that when you create this kind of viciousness against a species, a helpless, at the end of the day, dogs have no form of defense. When you do create this kind of targeting of them, they face a lot of cruelty. Many of them get abandoned. Many of them get relocated, many of them get murdered. So I would encourage the media to be extremely careful in its reportage and extremely restrained.
You know, ma'am, I agree with you. I agree with you that there's a certain amount of responsibility that we do have, but that's why we've invited you as well on this broadcast, because we believe there's a need to educate. What happened a couple of months ago, for example, in Lucknow, did lead to a lot of pit bulls being abandoned. People got scared, left them at you know, shelters because they were scared of what would happen in their homes. There's a need clearly to set the record straight about these kind of incidents, what triggers it, and we firmly believe that perhaps the onus lies with the dog owners in ensuring that these dogs are raised right as well. You know, before I bring in Mr. NP Singh, there's another aspect of the story, which is the Stray Dog Menace. And this is something that's been brought up in Kerala particularly. It resonated in the Supreme Court as well, with the Supreme Court saying that this issue has to be solved as soon as possible. The Supreme Court bench has directed all parties, including the state government, to table recommendations to resolve this issue. All of this is happening because a 12-year-old girl in Kerala lost her life after being bitten by a stray dog despite receiving 3 doses of the anti-rabies vaccine. And this wasn't the only incident that's happened in Kerala.
Kerala faces another health scare. There is fear among public after a 12-year-old girl died of rabies on Monday. Abhirami, who was on ventilator support at the Kottayam Medical College, was bitten by a stray dog on August 13. She lost her life despite taking 3 doses of anti-rabies vaccine. On June 30 this year, a 19-year-old girl named Sri Lakshmi died of rabies after being bitten by her neighbor's dog. She too had taken vaccine prescribed by doctors. The doctors had called it a rare tragedy. The Pinarayi Vijayan government has now written to the centre demanding quality tests on vaccines against rabies.
ഏറ്റവും ദുഃഖകരമായ ഒരു കാര്യമാണിത്. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഈ മോളുടെ മരണം ആർക്കും താങ്ങാൻ കഴിയുന്നതല്ല. അപ്പോൾ കുഞ്ഞിനെ കോട്ടയം മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ എത്തിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം സാധ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാ ചികിത്സയും നൽകണമെന്നുള്ളത് നിർദ്ദേശിച്ചിരുന്നു. അതിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ ഒരു മെഡിക്കൽ ബോർഡും രൂപീകരിച്ചിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ വിദഗ്ധരായിട്ടുള്ള ഡോക്ടേഴ്സും മോളെ കണ്ടിരുന്നു.
The Kerala government has also constituted a 3-member committee to study stray dog attacks in Kerala. The medical fraternity feels while there is a need to examine the quality of vaccines, other factors also need to be looked for.
It may be due to the lack of awareness regarding the first aid measures, or maybe due to the delay in getting the first vaccine and the serum. Even after vaccination, there are deaths happening. Also, we need to understand. We need to find out whether the vaccine has the full efficacy or is there any problem with the vaccine.
With the crisis creating a panic, the people of the state are also divided into two. While a group is questioning the government, the other group is keenly calling out the dog lovers in the state. As the debates and discussions around the issue is gaining momentum, the Supreme Court has also agreed to list the matter for Friday. With video journalist Tinku Rajashekar, Shubhi Molkeji for India Today.
In view of all of these incidents of stray dog incidents and also what we've shown you about pet dog attacks, there are several RWAs who are taking steps now to ensure that this no longer happens within their societies. And I'd like to bring in Mr. N.P. Singh, who is the Noida RWA chief, joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Singh, I hear that in Noida itself, there are many recommendations that have been made, suggestions about how to control these kind of incidents. Tell us more, sir.
जी देखिए, यहाँ पर जितनी RWAs हैं उनके पास वो पावर्स नहीं है अभी तक कि हम लोग अपने निवासियों को पूरी तरह से समझा सकें, कंट्रोल कर सकें। बहुत सारे निवासी इस डॉग की जो घटनाएं हुई उनके जिम्मेदार वही हैं जो इनको पालते हैं, ठीक से मैनेज नहीं कर पाते, ना उनकी ट्रेनिंग करवा पाते हैं। और हम लोग, हमारे बच्चे इतने प्यारे हैं, हम अपने बच्चे को बचाने के लिए अगर कुत्ते की तरफ हम लोग एक डंडा दिखा दें तो हमारे खिलाफ कार्रवाई हो जाती है। लेकिन जिस बच्चे को काट लिया गया, उस बच्चे कि इतनी बड़ी आपने देखा है 150 टाके जिस बच्चे को आए हैं, उस बच्चे के काटने के बाद भी जो डॉग के मालिक हैं उसके खिलाफ कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हुई। उसके खिलाफ केवल 5000 का जुर्माना लग गया, नगर निगम ने लगा दिया। लेकिन 5000 रुपए से उसको क्या फर्क पड़ गया, उनके खिलाफ क्या कार्रवाई की गई? हिंदुस्तान के अंदर ऐसा कोई कानून नहीं है। मेरा बच्चा कोई गलत काम करेगा, मेरा लड़का गलत काम करेगा तो उसको सजा मिलेगी, फांसी की सजा भी हो सकती है, उम्र कैद हो जाती है अगर कोई घटना घटती है तो। लेकिन जिस आदमी ने डॉग को पालने के बाद छोड़ दिया, लापरवाही कर दी, दूसरे के बच्चे को डैमेज कर दिया, उसके खिलाफ कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की जा रही इस देश के अंदर। ये बहुत जरूरी है कि जो लोग डॉग को पालते हैं, ठीक से मैनेज नहीं कर पाते, रख नहीं पाते, तो उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई की जानी चाहिए। RWA को ये अधिकार दिए जाने चाहिए कि RWA अपने सभी निवासियों को जो ठीक से कानून हो उसको बनाकर उसको लागू करने के लिए कि उनका सम्मान होना चाहिए, उनकी बात को पुलिस को भी समर्थन करना चाहिए और वो ठीक से अपने सेक्टर को।
Ambika Shukla, I have very little time, 10 seconds, if you could just respond.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to respond to this. Yeah, I'd like to respond to this. Firstly, there are already laws existing in place to check any kind of incidents like this. The owner, there are already laws that penalize the owner. There are already municipal laws, there are already state laws, there are already IPC laws. So there's no question of giving RWAs any kind of authority to take action in these matters, because these are national laws and they exist and they're very effective. Secondly, with the solution already exists. It is called the ABC program, which is a sterilization and vaccination program. This program not just controls numbers of dogs, where we're talking about street dogs, but it also eliminates biting. And it has shown to be extremely successful. Goa is zero rabies, Sikkim is zero rabies. Wherever RWAs have come forward to embrace this program, which includes feeding the dogs, getting them sterilized, getting them vaccinated, they stop biting completely, they are known to the residents, and they live out their natural lives healthily and harmlessly. So the program,
I think the takeaway from what's been happening and from the discussion that I've had with you, Ambika, as well as Mr. Singh and Sanjay Tyagi, who joined us here on India Today, is that yes, regulation is in place. There are certain rules, but perhaps implementation in some parts is still a big question mark. What it comes down to is that while you see many incidents of animals being abandoned post these kind of scary instances that come to light, and we understand why it's extremely worrying and concerning, the answer isn't to abandon dogs. The answer is to ensure adequate training and ensuring that dog owners are fully aware of what they're getting into. And let's get you all the details. The demolition drive in Goa, in what came as a big relief for the popular Curly's restaurant, the Supreme Court temporarily stayed the demolition of the shack, but directed the owners to suspend all commercial activities until there's further directions from the court. The iconic beach shack Curly's in Goa, where BJP leader Sonali Fogart was drugged, was demolished after India Today had reported all the gross violations over coastal regulation zone norms. Here are all the details.
A party gone wrong, drug-fueled revelry and alleged murder on the beach. Sonali Fogart was seen being forced to consume a suspected drug-laced drink at the Curly's restaurant just hours before her death. On the orders of the Goa government, the administration started demolition of the controversial restaurant at Anjuna in North Goa on Friday morning.
We are demolishing as per the NGT court order. Illegal activities nahi chalegi. Hamare CM साहब ने बोला कि there is a zero tolerance for drugs.
Within an hour, however, the owners approached the Supreme Court and managed to get a stay on the demolition.
Demolition has been stayed.
Yes.
And what is the further order that it cannot operate any commercial business?
Yes. Yes. That is what I have got. I don't have any in my hand, but I have been informed.
The restaurant has been under police radar for alleged violations. An India Today investigation had exposed how drug use at Curly's was a usual affair.
8-9 कस्टमर हमको दिन में मिल जाते हैं, बाहर से आते हैं, एक बियर लेते हैं, इधर बैठ जाते हैं. हमारा कुछ भी नहीं है, बियर हमारा, टेबल हमारा है, रेस्टोरेंट हमारा है. ये तो मतलब आप कह रहे हैं 8-10 लोगों को डेली आप लोग निकालते हैं. बाउंसर रहते हैं ना, तो बिल क्लियर करके जाओ भाई साहब, हम लोग तुमको हैंडल नहीं कर सकते.
The Goa police had arrested the owner of the shack, Edwin Nunes, on August the 27th under the NDPS Act. The arrest came after methamphetamine, the drug allegedly given to Sonali, was found in the bathroom of the shack. The owner was later granted bail. With Mustafa Sheikh in Goa, Bureau Report, India Today.
So they have already informed by their counsel.